This is a huge hole.
Is that ice? What the frick is that?
Why are there?
We got something very special planned just for you. Well, in case you didn't guess, it broke again. We'll see exactly what happened, but probably it just came apart. Really sucks, but it's actually been, it was flooding out here last night. This whole area right here was flooded instead. So, the hardware store is actually open today, so we can get all of our parts that we need. And Eric's back at it.
I don't want to go too deep right here. I know I can go a little deep.
Right, because that's where the electric was right here.
Yeah, the main line is like right there. I can go like 2 feet down, 3 feet down.
So the spigot is like right here. So it should be like right about here. And we lucked out with less rain than we were expecting. I mean, it's still pretty wet, but hopefully this had enough time to drain out last night, because it was flooded pretty good out here. I mean, it could have started leaking as soon as we buried it. Not much you can do except try again. What, you find something? I was gonna get video of you throwing dirt. Oh, the one rock out of the entire pile. You found another rock? That's just clay. That's clay. Cool. Well, there's like no rocks down here at all. This is the one and only rock we found so far. Oh, you scared me. I didn't know you were out here. Creeper.
Is this all clay?
Clay and sand. Look at the backhoe, it's doing a good job. Might have a tiny little shovel, but it's working hard. Oh, backhoe!
Aye. Is it my turn to take the camera yet?
Did you find any treasure? Probably.
Damn, that suction cuppy dirt.
Oh. It's clay mixed with sand at this point. Oh yeah. That's probably like quicksand. Isn't that what quicksand is? It's like mud, clay, and sand and water.
Alright, your turn. The big shovel or the little one?
It's kind of fun in here. It's like a little clubhouse. What a great.
I see you put a board over top. You got like a little auto hole. Hey! Let's just keep going down. See if we can start a little underground cave or something.
Yeah.
I wonder how deep you would have to go before it was stabilized.
I don't know. Well, it took a little bit of searching, but Eric finally found it. There it is. We were all the way over here, but we were looking for the dirt that we had dug up previously, and it was hard to find it. Oh, caving in. So that's the only thing with redigging out an old hole is you really have to dig out the entire thing or it's just gonna cave in again. It's just not compacted. You're gonna backhoe some of the stuff out that you're standing on?
I could backhoe this out.
What out?
The wire's right here.
Where's the wire? Oh.
Okay. Backhoe that out.
You just be careful you don't want to shove that shovel into the wire either. Alright, so for those that were wondering, we've actually got like a foot to 2 feet between the electrical and the water line. Or at least it was originally when we first buried everything together. So we went through, we knocked a bunch of dirt down in, and then we ran the electrical over top of that dirt.
So after we got the entire first water line all dug out, we quickly realized that this was not the source of our leaks. It didn't seem to have any drips going on at all. So that meant there was a leak somewhere else in the line. And that was something we did not want to have to mess with. But we didn't have a choice. So we knew that there's one other spot where the line teed off, and that was off from the main well line. When the main well line comes up, it goes off to the dog kennel right there, and then it splits off to the barn. It forms a T. So even though this day was a lot colder than the first time, we went to work digging up the area that seemed to be flooding. Now, this area, the hole doesn't look as deep in this picture. My new camera hadn't quite arrived and my GoPro just kicked the bucket, so I wasn't able to capture everything in detail. But this hole was a lot larger than the other holes. And remember how we had that little cave-in on the first hole? Well, that happens when you get close to an area that had already previously been dug. And well, even though it had been 10 years prior, the area next to where we were digging was the area that had been previously dug. And so as we reached the water line and I began to carefully chisel out the clay from around the T-line area, I was watching the dirt and everything above my head and it was fine. However, I wasn't watching the dirt behind me, and lickety-split, the whole side of the wall caved in on top of me, 200 pounds of clay crushing me to death. Eric jumped in and tried to pry the mounds of clay off me, but there wasn't enough time before it began crushing me. So I begged him to just yank me out as best as he could, and finally he did manage to. And then cleared the chunk out with the backhoe. It would have been great to get on camera, but unfortunately, like I said, my camera just kicked the bucket before all that happened. But luckily we were able to find the water line. It had fully detached from one end. Now we didn't know it at the time, but an earthquake had actually taken place that same day that it had begun leaking. And we were thinking that perhaps it caused enough ruckus to just pop the line right off. So we went through and tightened down all the ends of the line just to be sure, and then finally went through and buried everything back in. So hopefully we are done with water lines for a while.
All right, you guys are gonna love this one. We got something very special planned just for you. Well, it's not necessarily just for you, it's more for me, I guess, but I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but we are going to be moving the baler into the barn. So the ground right down here is all frozen up. So that means it's solidified enough for me to take the tractor and drive over it. As you can see, Eric's been grading this out. He dug a lot of this up, put it back down, and he actually spread some more of this crushed asphalt on top of it. So we definitely don't want to ruin his beautiful grading job. You can see there's just a little bit of water here. All right, so let's get this baler moved into the barn and get it out of the elements. I know it's only gonna be for a couple of months, but better late than not at all. it took a little bit of effort. Our door right here is 14 foot wide. It's 14 foot wide. So even though the baler isn't 14 foot wide, it's a little bit tricky to get it in the door and make sure nothing's in the way. So it's not just an easy setup to just put the baler in the barn. And even when it's in the barn, it still takes up a lot of room. Let's show a look. Ugh. Well, at least that's out of the way. Oh, wow. I nailed it within 2 inches. So 2 inches right there. I'll probably end up tipping this up just so I can get in here, if possible. Because there's nothing worse than trying to walk around the back of the baler. But I mean, when we designed the doors, we had no idea where to position them. So we put the door there based on the fact that it had to open and go to that wall. We didn't think a roll-up door was going to be anything that we needed. Now, of course, we're wishing that we had roll-up doors just so we had extra space. So one of the things we're looking at doing in the future is putting in a roll-up door right there in the front and moving the door over. So that way, instead of having to come in here, we can back straight in right along this wall with all of our hay and with our implements. I think while I'm at it, I should go through and pick up all the tools in here still. There's a lot that has not been done yet from this fall. Alright. This is an Eric's tool chest. This is my tape measure. Mine are orange, Eric's are yellow. So we'll put him away right there. And I think these are mine too, so we're gonna put these. They won't fit there. They go up here. There we go. Alright. And these I think are all mine. Except maybe that black one. I don't know, that might be Eric's. Oh, hey, I was looking for that socket. Hey, there's my little ratchet wrench. There we go. This is going in with Eric's stuff. Ooh. I don't know. I think he's got too many tools. I think he needs to donate some back to me. And then this little guy goes in my case right here. Alright. So we've got a couple that are missing. This is probably one of them. Oh, look at right there. And we've got 7/16 and we have 11/32s that are still missing. And my ratchets are missing too somewhere. So we still have to go on the hunt for a couple more tools. And then these just don't ever stay in place. A lot of this stuff falls out. So all of the tools that I have here that you've seen, and these are all sent to me from you guys. You guys, a couple of years ago when I first got my tool chest, you guys were awesome and just started sending all the tools in that you could think of that I might possibly need. And it has been put to use almost every day. So again, thank you for that. Now we got to get this tractor out of the barn and get it closed up before it starts to heat up outside, because so far I don't see any tracks on the ground. We want to get this done before Eric notices. We gotta get you out of here, girl. So this is what I'm seeing right here. This is mass destruction. This is a huge hole. I mean, make no bones about it. This isn't like, and this is huge. Absolutely huge. Whatever made that must have been pretty good size to want to get in here. I haven't seen any injuries on the geese at all, and I haven't seen any feathers loose, so I'm not quite sure what's happening. But there are many holes like this everywhere out here. There are areas where there's just a couple little parts that they tried to damage. There are areas where it's mass destruction. You know, all of this is electrified, but maybe the problem is we should have put the plastic fencing on the inside of the posts, not the outside, so that anything that tried to come in would hit the electric first. Now, the idea was that the geese, which like to play with stuff, were more likely to damage the fencing if it were on the inside. However, based on the amount of holes I'm finding, it's a toss-up. So we eventually planned to put some of the baby geese in here. I think that's the goal. I'm honestly surprised that there are so many holes in here, considering that this has been a pasture for years. And as far as we knew, there wasn't ever anything getting in here besides rabbits. So I think the solution is going to have to be that we're going to have to run tracer wire on the outside of the fence. Something cheap, but something that packs a serious punch. Just to keep animals from getting down low and going after the fence. I think it needs to be on the outside because I think that's... But then again, you know, who's to say that they don't just try to chew up a little bit higher? I don't know. But this is not what I was hoping to find. And the bottom line is, any place we put small geese, we're gonna have to have a fully electrified mesh fence like this. They do make mesh fencing. It's kind of like a mesh rope fence. It's all electrified. It's very expensive, and we were trying to avoid the cost of that. But based on the fact that there are holes, not just on the back side, but it was actually the front side of the fence where I first saw it. And at first I thought it was a traveling dog that came through and was just trying to get at the geese because it was right off the driveway. But that's not the case. I'm not sure what's trying to get in, but we're gonna have to set up some game cameras or something, find some sort of solution to figure out what is causing these holes. Like I said, these are good size. It could be a bobcat, it could be a coyote. I don't think it's fox. Fox is not gonna make a hole that large. Honestly, a fox could probably just get in through some of the smaller holes that are underneath the fence. So, I don't know. We got a mystery. What? Oh, is that Jeremy? Is that eyes? What the frick is that? I don't know if you guys can see that. What is it?
I have no idea.
It's moving. Daddy, come here. I don't have a gun. Why is it moving? Maybe it's a cat. Maybe it's Tut. All right, come here, Daddy. Over here. I think it's a cat. That's why it's running towards us. Yes. Because anytime I'm outside... Tut? Yeah, it's reflecting green. I bet that's Tut.
Well, not to worry. It wasn't too much longer after this that we had a nice big snowstorm come through. And you know what snowstorms mean? It means you can now track animals. So I was able to do a perimeter check around the outside of the goose fencing, and guess what I found? I figured out pretty quick what was happening, and it was not what I was expecting. Rabbits had actually been chewing holes through the netting to get in and out of the goose pasture. There were rabbit tracks everywhere, and they were using all of the holes like little tunnels to get in and out. I don't know why they needed to get into the goose pasture in the first place, but they found it quite frequently. They needed to get in there. So, despite the electric fencing, they were not deterred by it. So I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen come springtime. But at least that mystery has been solved.